Hello everyone, and welcome to today's discussion over glomerular filtration rate and the forces that are involved. We will begin our discussion with a brief review of the structure of the glomerulus. We will then move on to the process of glomerular filtration and discuss the forces that allow this process to occur. Finally, we will look at glomerular filtration rate, how it is calculated, and its application in the medical field. Now, if you are ready, let's begin. What is the glomerulus? The glomerulus is a ball-like formation of capillaries found in the nephrons of the kidneys that filters a portion of water and solutes from the circulating blood. Blood enters the glomerulus through the afferent arterioles and exits through the efferent arterioles. There are 3 layers that make up the glomerulus membrane, which fluid must pass through before entering the Bowman's capsule. These are the glomerular capillary wall, the basement membrane, and the inner layer of the Bowman's capsule. The glomerular capillary wall is a highly perforated single layer of flattened endothelial cells. These perforations allow for an extremely increased permeability to water and other solutes compared to other capillary beds in the body. The basement membrane is a gelatinous layer that is made up of collagen and glycoproteins. It is found in between the glomerulus and the Bowman's capsule. This layer provides structural strength and inhibits small proteins from being filtered out of the blood. The final layer that makes up this filtration process is the inner layer of the Bowman's capsule. This layer is made up of interestingly shaped epithelial cells called podocytes. These podocytes are considered to be octopus-like in appearance, consisting of multiple branching arms called primary foot processes, with secondary foot processes further branching off. Small spaces are formed in between the secondary foot processes that allow fluid that is leaving the capillaries of the glomerulus to enter the Bowman's capsule. These narrow slits are called filtration slits. To be filtered, fluid must pass through each of these layers. In order for the fluid to push through these filtration layers of the glomerulus membrane, some type of force is required. There are 3 physical forces that drive the process of glomerular filtration, one of which favors filtration and 2 that oppose it. These are glomerular capillary blood pressure, plasma colloid osmotic pressure, and Bowman's capsule hydrostatic pressure. Glomerular capillary blood pressure is the pressure that is exerted by the blood that is flowing within the glomerular capillaries. This pressure favors the filtration process, pushing fluids out of the glomerulus into the Bowman's capsule, and is dependent on the contraction of the heart. Another factor that affects the glomerular capillary blood pressure is the resistance of the afferent and efferent arterioles. The afferent arterioles are wider than the efferent arterioles, which produces a higher capillary blood pressure than what is found in other areas of the body. This pressure is kept relatively constant throughout the length of the capillaries due to the high resistance of the efferent arterioles and allows for the continuation of fluid movement out of the glomerulus and into the Bowman's capsule. The average measurement of this pressure is 55 millimeters of mercury. Without this constant force, the process of filtration would not be possible. Changes in this pressure result in changes in the glomerular filtration rate, which we will discuss later in this video. Next, we look at the plasma colloid osmotic pressure. This pressure is produced as a result of an imbalance in the distribution of plasma proteins that are moving across the glomerular membrane. This pressure acts in opposition of filtration. The reason for this is the direction of the concentration gradient of water. This gradient moves from the Bowman's capsule, which has a higher concentration of water, to the glomerulus. This causes water to rush into the glomerulus, pushing against the force of the capillary blood pressure. The average measurement of the plasma colloid osmotic pressure is 33 millimeters of mercury. This number is higher in the glomerulus than in other areas of the body due to a higher concentration of plasma proteins from an increased water filtration. Lastly, there is the Bowman's capsule hydrostatic pressure. This pressure also opposes the filtration of the glomerulus and is caused by the fluid that is found in the initial portion of the Bowman's capsule. This force favors the movement of fluid out of the Bowman's capsule and is estimated to measure at roughly 15 millimeters of mercury. Now let us see how the rate of glomerular filtration is calculated and how the forces discussed affect this rate. The glomerular filtration rate is dependent on the net filtration pressure, as well as the permeability and surface area of the glomerular membrane. When you subtract the opposing pressures of plasma colloid osmotic pressure and Bowman's capsule hydrostatic pressure from the filtration favoring pressure of glomerular capillary blood pressure, you end up with a net pressure that is in favor of filtration. This difference is known as the net filtration pressure. The properties of the glomerular membrane, such as its permeability and surface area, are collectively referred to as the filtration coefficient. The filtration rate is heavily influenced by changes in the capillary blood pressure. This pressure is controlled and regulated to meet the filtration demands of the body. This is accomplished with the vasoconstriction and vasodilation of the afferent arteriole. Vasoconstriction of the afferent arteriole causes a decrease in the capillary blood pressure. This decrease in pressure leads to a decrease in net filtration pressure, and as a result, a decrease in the glomerular filtration rate. Vasodilation produces the opposite effect, with an increase in capillary blood pressure, and therefore net filtration pressure, and an increase in the filtration rate. The plasma colloid osmotic pressure and the Bowman's capsule hydrostatic pressure are not regulated since they do not vary much. However, injury and disease can cause fluctuations in these pressures. If these pressures increase, the filtration rate decreases, and vice versa. There are several factors that can impact glomerular filtration rate. These can include protein intake, the time of day, hypertension, pregnancy, and the presence and severity of kidney disease. In a young, healthy individual, the average filtration rate is 120 to 130 milliliters per minute per 1.73 meters squared. Glomerular filtration rate is used in the determination of kidney health and function. Physicians are unable to measure this rate directly, so instead they get this from clearance measurements from either timed serum or urine collections. When the kidneys are not able to function properly, such as during chronic kidney disease or acute kidney failure, the glomerular filtration rate decreases. There have been studies conducted to determine the relation of filtration rate and life expectancy. For a male individual between the ages of 30 and 34 who have an estimated filtration rate of 60 milliliters per minute per 1.73 meters squared or higher, the life expectancy is estimated to be 45.7 years. As this rate decreases, so does the life expectancy. When it is between 45 to 59, life expectancy drops by 20%. Between the levels of 30 and 44, it drops by 50%. And that concludes our discussion over glomerular filtration rate. Hopefully you found this video to be informative and supplemental to your studies. As always, I wish you good luck in the rest of your studies, and have a wonderful day.